Welcome to the second episode of our illustrious podcast trying to figure out the truth and information behind Pinselgeschichten, which is not me, but her. And her trustworthy butler, handmaiden.
Am I allowed to show the finger?
Of course.
Colleague, her. I think she has a name, but...
I'm Tina, hello.
So, as you found out now, this is Tina, this is Pinselgeschichten, or Sarah, as I know her for 2 days now.
Oh, it's only been 2 days. Okay.
I have a 2-day short-term memory. Maybe that is...
That's more like it, yeah.
Maybe that is the reason.
That's how it works.
Mm-hmm.
We try to field questions from you, from us, from anyone who was brave enough to fill this cup of questions with questions. We already covered a couple, actually just one, because we're horribly inefficient at talking about stuff. So be ready for rambling. Ready to ramble, I think.
Now the mic has to drum.
Be ready to ramble! I guess
would
so.
love that.
So let's see if you correctly guessed what the question this time is. I hinted at it and you probably wouldn't have guessed it, but now let me reread it to myself so that I remember what the question is.
But it's not been 2 days since we recorded the first episode.
You're terrible.
I'm sorry. I love you too. Go.
So, given that you have to paint something, anything, probably about a board game, before starting your entire work process, there has to be something up front. What inspires you?
So many things. So I would separate the two. Art in general and Draw for Initiative. Draw for Initiative, the inspiration...
And Gamer's Couch. And ducks.
Because of reasons.
Oh, I'm the host, I have to be silent. Please continue. Let me read the question again.
Draw for Initiative, of course, gets the inspirations from board games that we play, the experiences that we have at the table. When it comes to artwork in general, like the rest of the week for me, it's very many things. It might be a joke you make. It might be something I read. It might be music. Music is actually really, really big and inspiring. It might be a conversation that I have with another artist. It might be just a word like green. And my mind goes like, green, green, green. Okay, what could I do? This is how it goes. This is what I see. I always say, and I know that I have a very, very weird brain, that I do see the world in paintings. I see differently. I recognize things differently. I associate things differently. And I always say, it's a painting. So the world is a painting. And I see it and I copy what I see, if that makes sense. And this inspires in a way. It's weird.
Does that mean that in your mind I'm some kind of pinky brain comic?
No.
Thing?
Funny enough, I do see the world more in the old arts, like with the brush strokes of Rembrandt and Van Gogh.
Like Renaissance?
Yeah, very, very old style. I don't see the world in comic or like cartoon illustration kind of a way. I always see it like the thick brush strokes. So it's weird. I know, and I can't really do it justice with trying to explain how I see the world.
So let me ask someone who likes to draw cartoons. Am I a rat in a top hat in your...
I wish you were.
Then you would be pretty.
Work with me.
I didn't say that.
Work with me here, guys.
I'm sorry.
Well,
for me, it's more for Dwarf for Initiative. It's let's begin with the easy things. It's thinking further the situation you have in certain games, like you mentioned it. I'm pretty comically in my style and in what you see in Dwarf for Initiative. That's typically more comical in style, and usually I get my ideas there from situations in the game, and my brain does things like a little comic show with that and what could happen. And I've seen all the fantasy stuff and read so many books about from Dris Do'Urden to Croth from Patrick Rothfuss. And then my brain does those things to the games we play sometimes, and I have more problems with the more abstract things where there I don't have a world where I can put that things in, and then I have to really start in thinking what could be an interesting object for the painting I do.
So how does that work for you two? Is that something while playing where you say, yes, this is what I'm going to paint if we ever paint this? Or is it more like, okay, next week's topic is game X. Now I have to sit down and come up with an idea. So where's the inspiration coming from? Is it?
I'd say both. If I remember correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, there were games that we were so much in love with that we said, don't care about the other games. We gotta put that in right now. We gotta play that. We played it. We have to reschedule all the other games. We have to put that one in now because I'm having an idea. I want this. I want that. I can do that with it. And then there's a game where we say, yeah, we didn't have a game in a long time that is more like architecture or history. Let's put one in again, and then you either have to play the game again, like with Orléans. I think that's on the plan, and we have to play it with her again before we can have it on the painting schedule. But with some, it's more like the idea really forces itself on the paper.
There are games like Zombicide where I was instantly with that character. Oh God, I need to do an action sequence with her. I just need to. I didn't have any idea how that would look like. Just the idea of having a scene. Or what did we have? Oh, I had some ideas for time stories, also for King and Death. And I put them down as a sketch. That's what I usually do when I have an idea and I can't work instantly on that. I just make a sketch first so I can put it away, store it away till I need it. And then I can work on it further. And then there are games like Fresco, which is quite a beautiful game. I love that. And I love the setting in it. But it just didn't give me straight up an idea what I could do. I had to think about it, and we had to do it twice. So it was double as hard to do. Yes. But after a while, I just get at some point, okay, we could do that, and let's just add this, and I just building the picture in my mind as I go on. I just need the first step for it.
Is it sometimes with the more abstract games that you're brave enough to then try something new when it comes to the technique, or do you shy away from the story heavy and idea heavy games where you say I don't want to screw it up?
It's so sometimes I really know, or I just have the picture in mind and I know what I have to do and I'm just going for it. But that's the rarest kind of pictures I have. I usually, but like with the painting for Seven Wonders. Before we painted awesome. Seven Wonders, I have seen on Twitter some pictures which were like also watercolor. I showed them to Sarah and asked her, okay, how did he do this and this and this? And she was like telling me, I had it fresh in mind and that I just had to put it down and to try it instantly. And so I did that. I couldn't say where I experiment more or less. I usually like to stick with what I know that works good, but I still feel too limited to just leave it at that. So I sometimes go and try for something else. Or if I messed up the last time with the tomos, I had that. I'm going and trying again because she does it. So how couldn't I do it?
So if I would go forth, then to me that sounds like thematic games are more inspirational than abstract games. Is it something you would subscribe to, or?
Yes, if there has not been a specific happening at the table while we played the abstract game, it's way more difficult to paint those. Or if there are games where we cannot spoil, like for example, we painted Pandemic Legacy, and it was really difficult not to spoil. Though we had plenty of ideas.
I remember being consulted multiple times for that.
Same with Time Stories, same with upcoming Kingdom Death. We cannot spoil. And we have so many scenes in our head. And I hated myself for, especially with Time Stories, telling her, you cannot do that, you cannot do that. It's a spoiler, it's a spoiler. And she came up with the most beautiful ideas. And I had to say, I'm sorry, no, we cannot do this. It's like, this is
I
so
imagine,
bad.
as we learned last time, that you prefer the story intense detail drawing. This might be more problematic there than a moodier piece, so to speak.
She gets the beauty from the colors and moods, and I get it. I try to get it from the details and the story that's told in the story.
I mean, we don't have that many pure abstract games in our game collection. And with abstract games, I mean something like chess or
and we haven't chosen them yet for the painting list.
Yeah.
So I was about to ask, what is the game or the abstract game you would consider the most challenging so far, or the one that was really easy?
That we have on our painting list, or
Which is there something on your list that you dread because you know it'll be really difficult?
Yeah, I would say Blueprints and Codenames are the two games.
We are dancing around them so far because we didn't really come up with great ideas.
Or the ones that we came up with, we weren't happy with, like the typical spy setting for Codenames. We just felt it was boring. It felt boring to us, so we said, okay, we're gonna move to another game first. Maybe something triggers and we get inspired by something else and can put it in.
Yeah, also we want to... we love those games we draw. We love them, really. And if we do a bad painting for the games, we feel like we wouldn't do right for the game. So we rather put it on hold so far and just think a little more about it until we come up with an idea that we both are satisfied with.
Yeah, because I think I would kind of feel ashamed if I would have just a mediocre painting, just something like, slapping it out there and not being enthusiastic about the painting and the game itself, because this is kind of like fan art, pretty much. The games that we paint are fan art because there's something about the games that we really, really, really like. So we have way more games downstairs in our library than we have on the painting list. And we, of course, took the ones that we really want to paint very fast and quickly and right away first. But at one point, we will get to the games that we maybe like a lot but don't love. But still, I want to do it justice and have not a shitty or mediocre painting.
Yeah.
And just throwing it out there because that's not us, I think. So we shy away from these games.
Yeah, also we shy away from doing certain games in a row.
Yes.
Like we have done Seven Wonders. And we have on our list
Elysium.
We have on our list Favor of the Pharaoh. And some more in this settings, and
we have to space them out quite a bit.
Now, to me as the Lee-man, and this will be going on for this entire series.
I love you too.
These are entirely different games. What you mean with that is like a historical theme about cityscapes,
Yeah.
or
The games each for themselves are so different, and we like them all. We do love each for its mechanics, but you can't put the mechanics into the
You can
picture.
paint them. So, for example, Elysium and Pharaoh are pretty much in the same era. They're in the antiques, as is Seven Wonders. So we have to space them out, not to have repetition like 2 weeks in a row. For example, we just painted Takenoko. And we have the game Tokaido that we really, really like. And we're just waiting a few weeks that we can put out that painting, because Japan, it's boring to have the same thing over and over again. We have to space it
Also,
out.
we can get new ideas in
Yes.
that time, because it would be too close to each other anyways.
Yes. And I mean, the other obstacle there is, or it's actually just a challenge that we never discussed, but it kind of just happened, to see if we paint the same painting or not, because we don't look at each other's artwork before we have our own stuff done. So it's that's the other thing. Oh, what could she paint? I don't want to know, maybe not. And then for an abstract game or a game that has not a lot of story, it's even way harder to go for that. And I mean, we even had it with a rather story-filled kind of a game that we painted the same thing.
So, why do you say a story-filled kind of game? What do you find more inspirational? Situations that you want to depict, as you said, in abstract games or in games where the interaction with other players was the thing that inspired you, or a theme? Or let me try to rephrase it. Is it more inspirational or easier for you to have just a setting where what you can work with? Let's say something like Takenoko, where you could say, hey, this is somewhere in Japan, and you want to paint that, and you have a couple of characters, but you can essentially come up with a scene that you want to place in there. Or do you prefer, or do you find it easier to have something that happened at the table, like some table flip rage moment or funny interaction between the players themselves, and try to bring that? Interestingly, while I was saying that, the first part I see nodding there, and then I see a second nodding there. So I assume I know what the answer is going to be.
I think it's the first one is more common, but I guess both inspires just as much. But it's way more common that you can, or it happens more often that the theme of the game or the story is so strong that it kind of pushes away the funny stuff that happens at the table, and we just want to go for the game.
Also the situations on the table, at least to me, they sometimes feel like insiders. Like I couldn't put it down on paper so that everybody else would be laughing about it like we did in that specific situation.
But you did so well with Pandemic Legacy, with the two of us, the characters that we played crying.
But disclaimer, it was inspired by an idea of yours. So also for me, at least, the problem is, if I had Sarah's ability to make portraits, I would probably for every second picture draw us 4 or 5, however much we are.
But it's boring.
Yeah, but that would be no. I think it would be interesting in many situations, because we are so different in character, and it's just fun, and it would give funny situation. But I'm just not able. Where we are going back to that, what limits you, and that this is a point that limits me. So I have to go for what I can do, and stay with the game and with the setting of the game, and playing around with that. And it's easier to draw emotions on a panda than trying to depict him with his emotions,
because he doesn't show any. Sorry. That's not an emotion, that's just a muscle twitch. No? Just throwing around ideas. Well, no, we don't. Oh, okay.
I think that's it for our second episode. I will now take a look at the next question and see if I can give you a hint. Oh, that's a long one.
That's what she said. I'm sorry.
Still funny.
We will continue talking about the painting process, but the actual process a little bit more in detail. So join us next week. Mm-hmm. Join us next week.
Wednesday, 9 a.m. CET.
Next week. Join us. Do it.
Do it then.
Do it then.
Join the bright side.
The dark side.
Bye.
Bye.